To introduce the talk, I wanted to quote from an article on the museum's Discover Nikkei website, written by the award-winning journalist Francesca Biller, in reviewing the Dodgers Brotherhood of the Game, the exhibit that we have in the pavilion building that's showing right now and will be showing through the 12th of the month. This is what Francesca had to say. It is says, "It is difficult to remember any span of my childhood without thinking about baseball as the sentimental and grounding backdrop that helped bond our mixed-race family together in Los Angeles. When the Dodgers played, it was an event that inspired in us a feeling of hope, celebration, and in the confidence of knowing that our multicultural home was always ready for center field and with no apologies needed. My siblings and I shared interesting parents who were from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds of Japanese, Russian, Jewish, and Irish descent, which meant that life was not always simple or easygoing, but our love of baseball, and especially for the Dodgers, helped us to forget that we often felt like outsiders in our own community, and to remember that we were worthy just as we were. The exhibition Dodgers Brotherhood of the Game, on display at the Japanese American National Museum through September 14th, reminds me of just why my family has rooted for the Dodgers for so many years. Because, in a way, we have felt like they have always rooted for us." Scott Akasaki has entered his 10th season as the Dodgers Director of Team Travel, following 5 seasons as the club's Asian Operations Department, most recently as the Manager of Japanese Affairs. Scott was the first Asian American to be named to the post in Major League history, and the youngest in the National League. He coordinates all of the club's travel during spring training, the regular season, and postseason, and he also serves as an interpreter for Japanese Dodgers players. In 2008, he spearheaded the team's trip to Beijing. In 2009, he was instrumental in the club's move into its new spring home, Camelback Ranch. In 2010, he coordinated the team's logistics efforts on a 3-game exhibition tour of Taipei in Taiwan. And this season, he coordinated the team's travel to play the 2 official Major League Baseball games in Sydney, Australia. Scott Akasaki is a cum laude graduate of Claremont McKenna College, and for 3 summers, he was an intern here at the Japanese American National Museum. Now, Tommy Lasorda, I'll say in numbers, 21 years manager of the Dodgers, 8 division titles, 4, is that right? 4 National League pennants, 2 World Series, 1 gold medal in the Olympics in 21 seasons as a manager. After his retirement, he became a Dodgers executive, and his association with the club has spanned 7 decades. And by the way, it was not only that he managed the U.S. to his first gold medal. He was in baseball. In 1997, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, these are statistics you may know, but here's one that you may not know that I gleaned from the Baseball Hall of Fame itself website. That on May 31, 1948, as a minor league pitcher with the Schenectady Blue Jays, Tommy Lasorda set a Canadian-American League record by striking out 25 batters in a 15-inning game. I don't think Clayton Kershaw could do that.
I wish you'd have been there, Scott. You'd have loved it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tommy Lasorda, Mr. Scott Akasaki.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm really privileged to be here under Scott's invitation. And if I didn't go, he would never give me any more meal money. So
Well, I wanted to thank everybody for coming today to hear about my experiences with Japan, and I'm very thankful for all my family being here, and for my good friend Tommy Lasorda to listen to me this entire time while I talk only myself. So, for me, it all started in 2002. But it actually, for me, started in 1999. And truth be told, I was an intern here at the Japanese American National Museum, and there was an article that needed to be written about the Dodgers' relationship with Japan. So my boss asked if I would pick up Tommy Lasorda at the airport and have lunch with him and ask him about Japanese baseball. And I said, sure. You know, I grew up in Los Angeles, and you know, Tommy Lasorda was a legend. So went to the airport, and at that time, you could go right up to the gate, and we drove in a car, and we ended up talking about Japanese baseball. What I didn't understand, what I didn't know, I guess what I knew was that he was Hideo Nomo and Chan-Ho Park's manager. What I didn't know was his history with Japanese baseball went back many decades prior to that. So I don't have all that stuff memorized, so I brought some notes.
Scott, where'd you get that vest? He mocks me all the time, I'm going to tell you this. He does.
Yeah.
Every chance he gets.
So, I'm at a loss for words right now. Yeah. All right, so anyway, according to our Dodgers media guide, Tommy Lasorda went to Japan in 1965. Is that correct?
Yes,
That's your first time there? And can you tell the audience what you did in 1965 for the Tokyo Giants?
Well, Mr. O'Malley, the father, called me into his office. He said, I'm going to send you and another scout over to Japan. You're going to go to spring training with the Tokyo Giants, and you're going to work with them for approximately 3 weeks. And you're going to teach them all about the game of baseball. But more important, your objective must be that they take the Dodgers to Japan for a trip. So that was my mission. I had to go to Japan, went to spring training in Miyazaki, and worked with the Japanese team. And incidentally, I must say this, braggingly a little bit, that they won 11 straight championships after I worked with them. Scott, I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if you knew that or not, Scott. So I got the mission accomplished by making Mr. Shiriki, the owner of the Tokyo Giants, to bring the Dodgers to Japan. But this is how it happened. Every morning, I would get up about 6 o'clock, and I'd get to have breakfast, and then we'd start working. And you know, those Japanese teams, they worked hard. Believe me when I tell you this. And all day long I was with them. And then at night we'd have a meeting, and I'd have dinner, and then I'd go visit Mr. Shiriki, the owner, in his suite. He could not speak English, and he had one song he could sing. And every night I'd drink sake, and this man would drink scotch. And he'd sing, and I would sing with him. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelopes play. We sing this every night. It's the only song the man knew. And through endless hours of visiting with him, he finally picked up the phone, called the commissioner's office, and said, "We will not accept any team but the Dodgers." Now, the Dodgers were getting ready to go to Japan. So I thought, well, I'm going back. And Buzzy Bavasi says, "No, you can't go." I say, "Buzzy, you know how much sake I drank to get this draft?" He said, "Well, you got to worry about drafting. We got to sign Willie Crawford." So all those hours I spent with him, I was never able to return. But I wish he would have learned another song.
Tommy, we have a lot of Japanese major league players right now. Since Hideo Nomo first blazed the trail 20 years ago, there's been close to 50 to 60, I think, possibly more. When you went in the mid-60s and early 70s, can you tell me about some of the players that you saw who you thought could have played in the major leagues during that time?
Well, with the Tokyo Giants, I had Sadahara O, one of the greatest hitters in the history of Japan. At third base, I had Nagashima. Those two guys I thought could really go right into our major leagues and be successful. And then they had a left-hand pitcher named Kaneda, who was an outstanding. He won, in 20 years, he won 400 games. That's almost impossible. And I thought he could pitch in the major leagues. But then, what was the outfielder's name that went with Seattle?
Ichiro.
Huh?
Ichiro.
The outfielder.
Ichiro.
Ichiro. And I talked to Ichiro, and I asked him, "Why are you coming to the United States?" And he won the batting title about 6 straight years. It was a great hitter, no question about it. He said, "I wanted to see how I could compare and how I could play in the major leagues compared to the Japanese major leagues." And he came here, and he's been here since. He's still playing with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. So they learned baseball, and they absorbed every bit of information that you could give them, and they work hard. They never see a team of baseball that worked harder than the Japanese baseball teams. They're very hard workers, but a lot of times they weren't ready to change some of the traditions of their baseball, which I was trying to imply to them that this is the best way to play the game. But it took a little talking and a hard work with them that I finally got them convinced that I was there to help them, to make them better ball players. And then they began to realize that's the way I was there, that they listened and they applied some of the things that I tried to tell them.
Tommy, over in Japan, you're very well recognized as the manager of Hideo Nomo. Can you talk about some of your experiences in dealing with Hideo and his adjustment to pitching in the major leagues? Obviously, he was a success.
Well, I would say this, Scott. If they said, let's pick a band in baseball to go to the United States to represent Japan, they could not have picked a better man than Nomo. Nomo was an exceptional person. He loved Japan. He was a Japanese 100%. And he was so happy to be with the Dodgers. and he became a very outstanding pitcher with the Dodgers. Do you know that this man did something that has never been done? Has never been done, pitching a no-hitter in the state of Colorado. When, you know, the ball really travels there. And home runs were plentiful. But this guy pitched a no-hit, no-run game and then pitched a no-hit, no-run game with the Boston Red Sox, wasn't he? So this guy, one of the very few who pitched no-hitters in both leagues. Jim Bunning did it. I know that for a fact. So the Japanese, they want to learn. They want to learn everything that they get out of you, everything that they want to know about, and they remember it. And that's the thing that I liked about them. They wanted to work hard, and I tried to tell them about certain things that they were doing that they couldn't do. And it was a little tough on them at the beginning, but they finally realized why I was there and what I could do for them. So they went on to win, I think, 11 straight championships, wasn't it, Scott?
I think so.
They didn't do that before I got there.
I think they had good players,
This guy and
I think they had good players.
We have so much fun together. He just makes me laugh all day. Gee. So go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem, Tommy. Well, you know, I have a personal story about Tommy going to Japan. I don't know if there's anybody else who's ever done this before, but if you ever can find out if this has ever happened to anybody that you know, can you name a person who has gone to another country with an expired passport? Because I know one person who went to Japan with an expired passport, got in, and came out with no problems.
How'd you know that, Scott?
Yeah, know that story.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So after you were manager, you became an advisor to the Kintetsu Buffaloes, and you went over to Japan maybe 15, 20 times in about 3-4 years, which is a lot of
trips.
A lot of trips.
Yeah.
A lot of first class seats.
I'll tell you right now, it's first class.
Yeah. With me and Coach, thanks very much. But anyway, while we were over there and while you were up in first, can you tell me about what that experience was like working with the Kintetsu Buffaloes? I know you worked a lot with the minor league players as well as the major league players over there.
Well, I went over there and first of all, I asked the Dodgers for permission to do it because first of all, they wanted me to be the manager of the team, and I said I couldn't do that. Then they wanted me to be the general manager, and I said no, I couldn't do that. And then they asked me if I'd be a consultant for the team. And I got permission from the Dodgers to go ahead and do it. And I told them when they were negotiating with me and the Dodgers that there was a part where if they won, that I would get so much money. And I gave them an amount, and they started to laugh. And I said, you know, what's so funny? The guy said, we hadn't won that, we hadn't done that in 28 years. They had not won in 28 years. So when I went over there working with them, well, I think we went over about 11 times to work with them and do the thing. And so the guy said to me, you're now a consultant. And I finally found out what a consultant was. This guy said he had a tomcat, big tomcat, that was with the cats all night and them screeching and hollering, and the neighbors couldn't sleep. And they went to the man and they complained about this cat because all the little kittens were all around. And the guy said, okay, do something about that cat. Well, he had him what he's supposed to do. And finally, he became a consultant. So I found out what a consultant was.
So there was a guy over there pitching for the Buffaloes named Iwakuma, right, who's now pitching for the Seattle Mariners. Can you tell us a little bit about Iwakuma and how you helped his development?
Yeah, well, when he started out, he didn't know what he was like on their minor league team. I helped them to set up a scouting system. They didn't even have a scouting system. I let them interested to know that see, you can only draft, if you draft 6 people, you get 6 rounds. And that's all the draft. After 6 rounds, they stop. So what about these other players? What are they going to do? So they had a league called the Industrial League. And then I got them to send their team into the Industrial League with a lot of other teams, and that was the beginning of their minor leagues, as we have here. And the guys that they didn't draft, they were playing in those leagues, and a lot of them came out. I can remember seeing a pitcher, high school pitcher. They had 3 different stations televising the high school tournament. Dude drew over 1 million people. 1 million people in all those playoffs with the high schools. And they brought a family, a mother and father of the pitcher that is pitching now with the Texas team.
Yu Darvish.
Huh?
Yu Darvish.
Yeah, Darvish. His mother was Japanese, and his father was Iranian. So AC, who was with me at all times, AC Kurogi, he worked for the Dodgers also. He said, we can get this guy, Tommy. I said, AC, you can't get that guy. The Japanese are not going to let that guy come to the United States. They'll give him a gas station, they'll give him a hotel, but he won't come. And he didn't, but now he is here, and he's pitching extremely well with the Texas Rangers team. Outstanding high school pitch. That's when I saw him pitch. This guy was tremendous, and he was a very tall guy. And he pitched extremely well in high school. And that's when we brought the mother and father in, trying to convince them that it's better for him to come to the United States than it is to play in Japan. But when the team that drafted him would never let him get away, so they signed him. So he played there for 5 or 6 years. Then he was eligible to come to the United States, and as you can see now, he's even been a successful pitcher for the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, true story about Yu Darvish. The Dodgers have always been at the forefront of being in Japan, knowing about players over there, and Yu Darvish is, for baseball fans, a household name, top of the line rotation pitcher. But if you're 17 years old and you're pitching in high school, and all of a sudden your parents are meeting with Tommy Lasorda to come to try to sign with the Dodgers, that's a pretty big deal. And we're one of the few teams that has that luxury to send somebody like Tommy over to talk to a player of his caliber to try to convince him to come pitch in the United States.
Well, I think the Japanese players are coming over here now to see how they can perform against in our major leagues. and they're much more instructed. A lot of them have been under a lot of instructions from major league teams sending players there, because we were the first ones that started it. And Mr. O'Malley had a great relationship with Mr. Shiriki. Mr. Shiriki was the most wealthiest man in Japan. And he's the guy, his son was the guy that I had to work with, because when his father died, he took over the entire business and everything. And he's the guy that sang with me every night, Home, Home on the Range. So what has happened to this is an amazing story. When I went over there a couple of years ago, after an absence of maybe 4 or 5 years of not going over there, that Mr. Shiriki had got that sickness. What is it when you can't remember anything? And yeah, he's got that, see? So I said, I want to see this man. They said, Tommy, he can't remember anything. He cannot talk to you. He's just completely full. I said, I got to see this man. He will remember me. And finally, he was eating dinner. And I walked into the room, and he saw me. And he went, home, home on the range. Swear to God. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelopes play. That's the song this guy remembered, suffering from that sickness. Amazing story.
I don't think anybody will ever forget that song ever again, Tommy.
Home, home on the range. I sang that when I was a kid.
All right, so Tommy, let me fast forward here, looking at my notes. Okay.
Scott's great.
I don't know why, but
Scott is one of the nicest human beings. This guy is great. He gets after me. He goes, hey, what did you do for this organization? Well, he always implying something that I was supposed to have not done.
I'm glad that Greg Kimura gave the introduction that Tommy accomplished all those things, because I think many people in this room never realized that you managed for the LA Dodgers. You know, and you were great. So you were great. They should put you in the Hall of Fame for that, Tommy.
See what I mean? It's always making those kind of remarks. Did you ever pitch? That's what he used to say to me. Were you ever a ball player? I said, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. Were you a player? He had all my statistics.
Yeah. True story. Right outside of my office, so that I don't forget, there's a poster of Tommy Lasorda right outside my office. So if I do ever forget, as soon as I go out of my door, oh, there he is, Tommy. All right, so Tommy, you actually received a very distinguished award in 2008. You were given the Order of the Rising Sun by the Emperor of Japan. And you don't have to answer a question about this. I'm just going to explain why Tommy received this. An award from the Emperor, so that's a pretty big deal. He was given this award for helping the success of the Tokyo Giants, like Tommy mentioned, the success of Hideo Nomo when he came to the Dodgers, and also the turnaround of the Osaka Kintetsu Buffaloes. And Tommy was also the official ambassador of the World Baseball Classic, which is the international tournament that has taken over for the Olympics, which was coincidentally won by Japan in 2006 and 2009. So
Who?
many, huh? By Japan.
In the Olympics?
No, in the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, yeah.
So
But don't say they won them Olympics.
no.
I did. No, I mean, we did.
So anyway, I want the folks to know that you received an award from the Emperor.
Well, you know, as I understood it, I was the first American to ever receive it. But the thing that it meant so much to me, or, you know, I say this with humility, that I've been honored in so many places in this country. I think I've been honored more than anybody involved in baseball. And, but to receive that award, see, when you go somewhere and they honor you, they're representing you. They're giving you this award, just this group. But when you get this medal that I received from the Japanese, it was a country honoring you. The entire country was honoring you, and that's what made it so special to me. And I was so surprised to get it. They wanted me to go to Japan to accept it. And I said, why? If I go to Japan, it's going to be in AC. That's all. But let me get it here, where my family and everybody, my friends and everybody could be here to see me accepting the award, which we did at the house of the ambassador from Japan, who had, I mean, twice the amount of people that are here right now at that event. So it meant a lot to me. Winning the Olympics was great. I told people that that's the greatest thing that ever happened to me in baseball. And they said, "Are you kidding? You managed in 4 World Series, and you're saying winning that gold medal is better than 4 World Series?" I said, "Absolutely. When you're in the World Series, the Dodger fans are happy, but the Cincinnati Reds fans aren't. The San Diego Padre fans aren't. So that's one team you represent in a World Series. But when you're with the United States of America, representing your country, that was the greatest feeling I had, because, you know, they said coaches don't get medals in the Olympics, which is true. And everybody felt bad for me because I did not get a medal. I said, "Hey, don't feel bad." I said, "I got my medal when I saw them put the medal around my players. I got my medal when they raised that American flag. I got my medal when they played our national anthem." I cried. Stood there and cried, because I had represented our country, and I was proud of that. And I think that's bigger than winning a World Series.
So at Dodger Stadium, Tommy has an office, and if you go there, it's a collection of pictures of Tommy with presidents and Frank Sinatra, Hall of Fame.
Don Rickles?
Don Rickles. Tommy has a papal blessing. He has all these awards that he's received throughout the years. And have you seen your award from the Emperor of Japan recently? Have you seen it on the wall? Well, if you look for it, it's not there. That's because it's in my office. You haven't seen it, have you? It's in my office, and when all the players come in, they say, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, I got an award from the Emperor." It's all written in Japanese, so nobody can understand it. I tell them it's for my contributions to Japanese baseball over the years.
Hi, Tommy. Hi, Scott. My name is Steve, and I had the opportunity a few years ago to travel to Japan, spend some time with one of your former players, Bobby Valentine, and he was the manager of the Chiba Marines at that time.
Right.
what is the likelihood of him or another American manager going back and managing a team in Japan?
I'd have to say it's a very difficult assignment to be there, to be the manager, because you can't communicate. Just like it's tough for a Japanese player to come here, especially if there's no other Japanese players around, and they're not able to communicate. They're not able to. There's so many things that they have to learn, and I think it's tough. And I think Bobby going over there doing what he did, and he was very, very successful. That's good, because whenever we can help a country like Japan, who is our friend, and everything we do, we do a lot together with Japan. So we're very, very proud of that our countries are so close together. Bobby going over there, and he showed them a different way to play, and of course they accepted, and he won. So, but other managers who went over there, they kind of failed. They just couldn't get it through to the kids what they were trying to do, and it was tough for them. And so to manage over there is very difficult.
If I can just add on that one, our bench coach for the past 3-4 seasons was a guy by the name of Trey Hillman. And I recently saw Trey at Dodger Stadium, and he was one of the successful American managers. I think he won the Japan series one year and then went back to and repeated, but lost in the second year. He was actually asked to return, but because his daughter and his son were getting close to graduating high school, he decided to return back to the United States to spend time with his family. And then he got the bench coach job with the Dodgers. But I would say that someone like that, who has a history of success in Japan, you may see Trey return to Japan in future years.
Right. Well, it's true. He did well over there.
Next question.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting how you said that a lot of the Japanese teams you worked with, they weren't initially receptive to some of the changes you proposed or some of the strategies you proposed. I was just curious, what were some of the biggest strategies you shared with the Japanese teams, and what were some of the ones that they were more reluctant to adapt?
First of all, I think they worked so hard in spring training that and the style that they had of working in spring training was not right. And I had to show them and let them understand the things that you have to do in spring training. I mean, these guys would hit for hours. I mean, that's good that you're physically working, but you can't do too much to the body, because you get tired and you're not learning anything. And consequently, this is the thing I tried to preach to them. I tried to make them understand that they had no players over there that had running speed. And you see, and I told them that those shoes they wear, let me give you an example. The shoes they wear are those wooden, what do you call them? Flax or something? Yeah. So they walk, and they have to get the things up, and they overdevelop their calves. You never saw a horse with big legs running in the Kentucky Derby. So I told them they are overdeveloping their legs. Wear shoes, or something. And by golly, you could see, no, seriously, now coming over here are guys who can really run. And that's what it is. You see these horses with big legs, they're pulling the milk wagon. So now you see them, they're young, their legs are different. But they didn't want to they didn't want to take that. They didn't want to listen to me. So there were so many things that we would confine with them. But I could remember them so well. They were such a great team. It had O on first base, Doi on second, Funado on shortstop, Nagashima third base. I mean, I can remember those guys. They were so great, and we had a lot of fun in teaching them a lot of the good things about baseball. So I'm proud of that. And anytime I see a Japanese come over here and do well, it makes me feel good.
All right, we'll take a question here.
Hi, Tommy. I'm JC. I'm Scott's brother-in-law and one of his 50 family members here today.
You must have it really tough. You're his brother-in-law? Oh, man. If I were you, I wouldn't tell anybody about that. Okay, what is it?
Well, on behalf of the family, thank you very much for a lifetime of entertainment from you and the Dodgers. It's been really enjoyable to watch you. And as you know, Scott's very professional, very tight-lipped, no gossip. So in this forum, how about give him some stories to us about him?
Next question.
Scott was the first Japanese guy to come over here and interview me. I took him to Paul's Kitchen. He didn't particularly like the food too much there. But at any rate, Scott, that was his start in baseball. And he's worked very, very hard for the Dodgers. I say that with all the honesty. And he's quite a fellow. He gets along very well with the players, the manager. In spring training, he's always in their clubhouse, and when it's time for him to speak, I mean, they roar when he starts speaking over there. So you can understand how he is right here now. That's the way he is wherever he goes. He puts a smile on everybody's face, but he's really a nice guy. But don't tell everybody you're his brother-in-law.
We'll take a question on that side. Where? Oh, the top. Oh, there you are.
Thank you. Hello, Tommy, Scott.
Yes.
So in history, pitchers have been more successful for the most part, as far as Japanese players, beside Matsui and Ichiro, Hideki Matsui. Why do you think it is that pitchers have been more successful in the U.S.? Japanese pitchers have been more successful in the U.S.
It's a very good question. It's very good because I tell you why. It's easier to judge a pitcher, a Japanese pitcher, because he can throw it. The guns are all the same. You know this guy's throwing 95 there, he's going to throw 95 here. But the hitter, you don't know whether he can hit major league pitching, but he hit Japanese pitching. And that class is not major league level. So that's why it's easier to judge a pitcher than it is a player.
All right, question over here.
I have a question for both of you. What has changed in baseball since you've been in baseball that's changed that you wish didn't change? And what thing do you think, what one rule or one aspect of baseball should change for both of you?
For me, I think that pitch count, throw it away. It's not good. Young players start out pitching in the minor leagues, and they're putting pitch counts on them. Now, how do you strengthen your arm? Excuse me. How are you going to strengthen your arm? excuse me, if you're going to pitch, so many pitches. How they come up with that amount of pitches, I don't know. Who was so great that they can tell you 60 pitches and that's it? Why can't it be 70 pitches? Why can't it be 80 pitches? Who's this guy that said 60? Who started it? Who knows about arms if they don't throw? People make rules that have no business making them. So I think that's one thing they shouldn't. Now, I've been blabbering about this new rule with the catchers. How could one man, one catcher, change a rule? And that's what happened. The guy at San Francisco got hurt. Tell me of a catcher that got hurt and couldn't play in the United States. You tell me if there's anybody in here who thinks there's a player who could not play because he got hurt catching. None. None. None whatsoever. So here's a catcher who's got equipment on. He's not going to get hurt. But they changed the rule that you can't bump into him. What? That's crazy. You're going to have to slide away from him or something. But I'm telling you, they're going to have trouble with that in the playoffs. They better change that rule back to the way it was. It's going to cause a lot of problems.
I've got a non-baseball rules change that I would like to see. And that has to do, my job is getting the team from one place to another, the travel. And we play, my family knows this because I hardly see them, but it's in 180 days, you have to play 162 games. So if you do the math, that's 18 days that you have off. And of those 18 days, you have 9 on which you travel. So that means you have 9 days at home, which are, like a Saturday and a Sunday. So you really have only 9 days off throughout the entire baseball season. What I would like to see, and I don't think that can be changed, is that every third game is a day game. Which means that if every third game, which is the last game of the series, is a day game, you're allowed to at least, if you're at home, have dinner at home. Or if you're traveling somewhere, that you're able to get into the next city at a decent hour. But because baseball is a business, night games attract more fans than day games. So therefore you have your day games are really disappearing unless you have them on a
Scott,
Sunday.
you can't be too soft on those players, man. They make a ton of money and you're complaining that they can't get so rest? Come on, Scott. God almighty. These guys, if they're not sleeping there early, they're out running around somewhere else. Then they go to sleep late. So what the hell's the difference? You're trying to soften these players up, man. The money they make, they should never miss a day. They should every day go out and play. Jeez, 200 million. It's amazing. You almost think you're living in another world. Giving a pitcher $200 million. Now think about that. And you say you're worried about them?
No, I think about that every 2 weeks when I look at my bank account.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably why. Hey, those players, they're making a lot of money. Let them play every day. There should never be no pitch count. I don't like it. And I don't like the rule about the catchers. Why don't they put some equipment on middle infielders when guys like Gibson's running in to break up a double play? And that guy he's got nothing on.
Okay, we'll have time for a few more questions. We'll take one on the far side. Any questions on that side?
This lady down here has her arm up. I don't know if she's trying to show off her ring, but...
We'll take that question. We'll come over to this side, and then the lady in the front.
Hello, Tommy. Hello, Scott. My name is Lorena, and you're talking about catchers. One of my favorite players is Mike Scioscia. So I was just wondering, he played under you for so many years. Do you have any relationship with him where, every time that I see him coach, I think about you. And I'm wondering, did you teach him anything? Did you have a relationship with him now? Or, did you ever think he was going to be, do a good job as a manager? Or...
Well, I have the privilege of saying that I had 16 players that played for me that managed in the major leagues. And Mike Scioscia, you could tell when he played that he would be a good manager because his knowledge behind the plate, taking over. And he's one of the guys, and I got all over him, who voted on this new rule. Bochy's on the committee. He is a catcher. The guy from St. Louis is on the committee. He's a catcher. Now, where in the hell could they honestly and truthfully say that they should change that rule? Huh? Okay? And Scioscia, outstanding. Not only as a manager, he's a person. One time the press came to me and said that Steve Yeager was mad at me. And I said, for what? He said, because you made Mike Scioscia the #1 catcher because he's Italian. I said, that's a lie. I said, that's a big, fat lie. I did not make Mike Scioscia the #1 catcher because he's Italian. I made him the #1 catcher because I'm Italian. Okay, Scott?
Yeah, that's good.
Hi there. The other big rule that's changed this year is instant replay and the reduction, if not total elimination, of the argument, which, frankly, if I look back at your highlights, Mr. Lasorda, there were some famous ones you had. Third base umpires, home plate umpires, kicking dirt, throwing things out of the dugout, whatever it might be. Frankly, I missed that. Next thing, we're going to have lawyers and depositions and other things out there as the replay gets done, to see the third base coach on the telephone looking up, asking for intervention from his replay coordinator to see if it's worth arguing after the manager strolls out to the umpire, waiting for someone to say thumbs up or thumbs down or forget it. Do you think that's going to stay, or do you think that's going to evolve into something that involves an argument?
I think those rules are brutal. Brutal. You got to call timeout. You got to check on how long has this play been, and you got to call the guy in New York. He's the one that's calling the play, and the manager, he looks in the dugout like you just said, and if the guys, one of his coaches go, you're right, you're wrong. So that takes time, and people complain, not people, the writers complain about the length of the games. That's another thing. I remember we used to play doubleheaders, and people loved it. Hey, let's say, you go to a movies. If you don't like the movies, you leave. If the movies is 4 hours and you like it, you stay. And if people stay for double headers, why would they complain about one game? Never. I never heard a fan complain that a game is too long. You know who complains? The writers, because that's stopping them from getting to the bars so they can start drinking again.
One thing about this is a back of the house process with the replay is in our video room at Dodger Stadium, we have about 12 different televisions, which provide 12 different angles. We have 12 different cameras all throughout the stadium, different locations that you're able to speed up or slow down. So at any given moment when there's a play, we have one guy who's assigned to turn the little knob and slow down the play to actually detect if the guy is safe or out or whatever the case may be. So he's always watching the play, and there's I think it's literally a red phone that will ring from the dugout, and as soon as the red phone rings, he'll pick it up and he'll say, you should, yes or no, he's out or he's safe, you should contest it or not. And then that's the end of the conversation, you'll hang up. So that's the behind the scenes, what happens virtually in every single clubhouse, every single stadium in the United States. There's a video room that there's one person assigned for the instant replay, the safe or the out.
Well, the game was successful when pitchers pitched 9 innings. Now they pitch 6 innings. They say, you had a quality start. When I played, a quality start is 9 innings and a win. That's a quality start. They're telling me, oh, you had a quality start. I don't see anybody getting into that Hall of Fame that had quality starts for 6 innings. You look at that with the guy from the Phillies. What was his name? No.
Steve Carlton.
Huh?
Carlton.
No, the right-hander. Robin Roberts. 384 complete games. Listen, that kid couldn't enter. She wants to come back, that baby. She said she's not having any fun back there. Look at Juan Marichal. 1 year pitched 30-some complete games. Look at Koufax. If the manager went out there and said, hey, your pitch count is up, come on out. Koufax told me, hey, get lost, pal. So it's a stupid rule. And as long as they start changing the game, there's nothing wrong with the game. It's been great. Now it's can't block this plate, you can't touch this bag, it's so many different things, and then ruining the parts of the game. And I'm just talking for myself. I'm not talking for anybody else. But this new rule with the catchers is just brutal. They better change it back, or they are going to have a problem in the playoffs. You watch. About a guy blocking the plate. Yeah.
Excuse me, Tommy. Who are some of your favorite Dodger players through the years?
Who are my favorite what?
Dodger players through the years.
For the years?
Through the years, for you.
I can give you a list of them, man. I've had so many great ones. They played great. They were great people. They worked hard. They represented the Dodgers in the highest degree of class and dignity. You never saw them with beards. You never saw them with no shoes. We got a guy down there pitching for us. It looked like he lives in a boxcar. Are you kidding me? Where's the pride that was with the Dodgers? You never saw a guy playing for me with a beard? Never. You never saw a guy playing for me with an earring? The first time I saw a guy with an earring, I said, give the earring back to your mom. That's amazing, I tell you.
Hey, Tommy and Scott. Tommy, with the recent signing of Cuban players like Cespedes and Puig, do you find that there's going to be a lot more scouting out in Cuba than in Japan?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot more scouting, sure. But you can't go into Cuba, so you're going to have to let these guys through people in there. I remember I put something in the paper, and a guy from the Yankees, the first guy that went to the Yankees, and he said to me in Spanish, I speak enough Spanish, he said, I see my name in the paper with you. I said, yeah, you saw it. I said this, you guys come out of Cuba, you make people think you're coming through shark waters, you're on a rope boat or a raft, and when you got somebody who meets you with a boat and he takes you to a country and he puts you in the penthouse and you haven't lost a pound. In fact, you gained some weight down there. And he's talking about being on this raft with shark jumping up at him and everything like that. I said to the guy, that's what I said, and I mean it. He said, well, that's not true. I said, yes, it is. So next question.
All right, we have time for one more question. That will be our last.
Hi, Tommy. My name's Christopher Spila. I'm an aspiring broadcaster myself. I want to be a commentator someday. I was just wondering what your relationship with Vin Scully was like when you guys first met, how you guys interact with each other each day, and how involved are broadcasters in the organizational aspect of the team?
I'll give Scott the first shot.
Well, Vin is as nice as he seems on radio and television, is as nice as he is in person. Maybe even nicer. I have a daughter who's 3.5, and when my family is able to travel with me to various cities, we'll see Vin at the hotel, and she doesn't know who Vin Scully is, right? But every time he sees her, he gives her a big hug, she runs up to him, and even at 3.5, she understands and appreciates the love and the warmth that he has for really somebody he doesn't really know. So that's the type of man Vin Scully is. When he's on television, which we're not in the 1/3 part of the Los Angeles when we're able to watch the Dodger broadcast, but if he's on television, my daughter will say, there's my friend Vin. And so he is as nice of a person as he seems on the air.
I agree with everything you just said, Scott. But I spent a lot of time with Vinny. He looks so good. I said, we both have the same amount of years with this organization, 65. Look how good you look. Try managing 20 years and see what you would look like after that. Yeah, sitting up here talking about the players. I'm down there trying to get these guys to hustle, trying to get them to sleep at night, trying to make them better ball players, trying to make them understand what it's going to take for us to win. Sure, I look bad. But he's sitting up there, nice, beautiful. I said, you got to look great. But outside of trying to be funny here, I'd say this to add on what he has said. I've been with him a lot longer than he's watched him, and he just got him down pat pretty good. He's a tremendous person. You know, I never see the guy upset. You never think that he has a problem. You never think he's not feeling good. He's so nice to people. I mean, I bring people up to meet him because they want to meet him, and even though he probably doesn't want to do it, but he'll do it because that's the way he is. He is, without a doubt, one of a kind. You'll never see another person like Vin Scully. And we're all very elated that we could have a man like him with this organization. When he leaves, I pity the guy who has to replace him. Because, you know, when I got my job as manager of the Dodgers, Vin Scully interviewed me. And he said, you're replacing a man who's been here 23 years. You are replacing one of the greatest managers in baseball. You are replacing a future Hall of Famer. Don't you think there's going to be a lot of pressure on you? I said, you want to know something, Vinny? I'm worried about the guy who's going to have to replace me.
You know, one more thing about Vin. He and I had a good conversation. He actually likes pitch counts, and he likes the new catcher's rule, too.
Beautiful, Scotty. Really good. That's a good ending right there, Scotty. You brought them laughing.
All right, we're going to let you actually have that last word, Tommy. On behalf of the Japanese American National Museum, we want to thank both of you guys for spending your afternoon here. We're going to have the opportunity to sign some things out there. Maybe answer.
Well, let me say this. I'm not speaking for him, but I'm honored to be here today. I'm honored because we are representing a museum of great athletic awards, of great people. And to see so many of you here in attendance, that's good. We're proud to have you here today. So being able to represent the museum, I think it's a privilege and an honor for us to do that. And this man here, who was the head of it now, I think he deserves a nice round of applause.
Well, thank you for that, Tommy. We have a couple of gifts to give you guys before you leave. You guys want to come here? Come on. Here. What's your son's name?
Abraham?
Yeah, Abraham here. Okay. Abraham, you want to help us give these out? Sure. I thought we had the little one help out too. We'll have all three of you guys. All right. So this is for Mr. Lasorda here. Go ahead. Give that to him.
Thank you, buddy. That's great.
So we have a T-shirt in there for you, and we have a baseball cap, and I'm going to pull the baseball cap out. I'm really proud of this here. This is a co-branded Japangelis, Japanese American National Museum, flat cap baseball cap, because I was told we didn't have any cool flat caps in the museum store. So we have a cool Japangelis flat cap with the logo and the name and Common Ground, which is the name of our core exhibit on Japanese American history. So we have that, and we have a T-shirt
thank
from
you.
Japanese.
I'm so thankful for getting this hat.
You put it in your collection.
I needed a hat real bad.
And Scott, we have one of these for you too, and a T-shirt as well. And I wanted to thank you in particular for coming out today and for helping to arrange this and moderate. And you mentioned, of course, we know your brother-in-law is here. Are your wife and kids here too?
No, they're taking a nap right now.
No, he might.
Well, with the 3-year-old, I understand.
Yeah. Well, we have a 1-year-old too, so he was, he wasn't too interested in the topic of his dad and the relationship with Japanese baseball, with small commentary by Tommy Lasorda.
Well, how many of your family are? Can I have the Akasaki clan here raise their hand? Who in the audience is? All right. On behalf of the museum and Dodger fans everywhere, thank you for sharing Scott with us.
Scott.
That's nice.
Japangelis.
Japangelis, yeah. All right, and with that, the program is concluded, and we'll.
Well,
see you all out in the
actually,
lobby.
Greg, we brought some things too. So we're gonna you gave us some gifts. We're gonna give some things to the audience, but to qualify to receive one of these gifts, you have to be in school. All right, so that means you have to have a teacher, and you have to be in school. So if you don't have a teacher and you're not in school, you don't get this. Okay. So we have a dozen baseballs. So if you go to school, please come down.
Look at that name on his back of his shirt.
All right, here we go.
I go to school every day.
All right, so.
What school do you go to?
I still go to college.
So here. You want Tom Lasorda? Okay, you can pick. You got Tom Lasorda. We got Ryu, Adrian Gonzalez. MASA, that's your name. That's Don Mattingly. And who signed that one? Oh, that's Mark McGuire. So do you want one of these? Take your pick. You go for it. That guy? All right. Who do you want? You got Tom Lasorda? All right. Who would you like? Adrian Gonzalez? Here you go.
Guy, come here.
Who do you? That's Ryu. All right.
Come here.
Who would you like?
Okay.
You want Lasorda? That's McGuire, Lasorda, Mattingly, and Adrian Gonzalez.
I want a Scott Akasaki baseball.
Oh, we don't have those. No. Those are on eBay. Do you want a ball? All right. What ball would you like?
Yoshi, you don't play with that ball.
Who do you want? You want this one?
Yoshi, you don't play with the ball. Save it. This guy coming back to change it. He's got a Mattingly one. He said he wants a Lasorda one. We want to thank all of you for coming out today. I hope you enjoyed this day as much as I enjoyed it. I hope you realize how important now Scott is to the Dodgers. People didn't even know who he was at one time. People, you'd say Scott Akasaki, and they didn't know what you were talking about. But he's become famous. So I want to say to you, Scott, it was a pleasure and an honor to be right alongside of you with these people.
Well, Tommy, I appreciate that very much. And from you sitting in first class and me sitting in coach, all those trips to Japan.
I thought about you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I did get a nice meal about when we were right over Hawaii. A meal would come back, and they said, yeah, this was sent from first class. So I always had Tommy to thank for the first class meal. So I appreciate that, Tommy.
Thank you. I was thinking about you. I sent my meal back.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's pull for the Dodgers now. We got about 20 games left. Those Giants won't get away. We're trying to get rid of them bums. But we can't do it. So let's hope that when it's all over, we're going to be in that World Series. Yeah, thank you. Here, you want to say something? Say hello.
Hello.
Say, hey, come here. Say, I love the Dodgers.
Hello.
Say, I love the Dodgers.
Hey. Hey.
It must be a Cincinnati fan.